Hey nerds, I'm your host, Techno de Boblé, and welcome to Boblé Corrects the Scientific Media. So there's been a lot of hubble-lubbub about this new watery, habitable planet, and sadly, I've been seeing a lot of misinformation going around. A good amount of what you heard is probably just not true, even if you heard it from a reliable source. I'll be linking the actual papers in the description, so you can see for yourself. Alright, here's what most of the articles say. Ah, yes, scientists, for the first time ever, have found water on an Earth-like habitable planet. There could be an ocean, and rain, and aliens. Guess we'll find out when the James Webb Space Telescope comes online. Yeah, basically everything about that is dead wrong. Number one, this is not the first time scientists have found water on a planet outside our solar system. We've found it lots of times, and on lots of planets. Number two, this is not an Earth-like planet. And number three, there is definitely an ocean, but it's definitely not habitable. At least, not to life as we know it. Okay, here's what actually happened. Scientists found water on a relatively small planet close to the habitable zone of a red dwarf star. The planet, which was discovered all the way back in 2015, is basically a small version of Uranus, and like Uranus, the atmosphere is so thick that it smoothly transitions into a mantle of super high temperature, high pressure liquid water, which is technically an ocean, but not the kind that could host any form of life as we know it. The reason this research actually matters is that the planet is orbiting a red dwarf star. Red dwarf stars are very important to astrobiology because they're way, way more common than every other type of star combined. And we have found lots of planets in the habitable zones of these stars. The problem is that red dwarfs have magnetic fields up to 1,000 times as powerful as our suns, and many produce horrible flares that we worry might strip any habitable planets of their atmospheres and their water. This planet, even though it isn't habitable, managed to hold on to its atmosphere and its water, which is great news for all the actual candidates for alien life. The planet is called K2-18b because we've discovered too many planets to keep coming up with creative names for them. So this name is sort of like a barcode and tells scientists some useful information about where the planet is and how it was found. K2-18b orbits more than 6 times closer to its star than Earth does. But the star is only about 2% as bright as the Sun, so that's actually the perfect place to be. Well, sort of. The planet isn't quite in the habitable zone. Its orbit is elliptical, and at its farthest from the star, it sorta skims the innermost edge of the habitable zone. But for most of its orbit, it's not in the zone at all. That's not a big deal for K2-18b though, because it isn't a rocky planet like Earth. Instead, it's a type of giant planet called an ice giant. We have two ice giants in our solar system, Uranus and Neptune, and because scientists are scared to say Uranus for fear of the laughter, we often call these planets mini-Neptunes. This is a really fascinating type of planet, because it's actually made mostly of water. In fact, Uranus and Neptune are both about 80% water by mass. We used to think these planets were gas giants, like Saturn and Jupiter, which are mostly made out of hydrogen and helium, just like stars. But it turns out the hydrogen-helium part of these planets is only the atmosphere on top of the planet. These elements are incredibly lightweight, so it's amazing that K2-18b held onto them, because it is really close to its star, and its star is really violent. So this is great, great news for life in the cosmos, because it's just another puzzle piece suggesting life really can live around these super common, super small, super flare, super stars. Thanks for watching. If you want to support me on Patreon, that sucks, because I don't have a Patreon, but maybe one day. Also, Audible exists. They don't sponsor me or anything, but if I mention Audible, I sound like a real YouTube channel. So yeah, Audible. It has books, I think. Anyway, be careful to verify what you see in the news, even if it's science stuff. And as always, happy babbling, nerds.